So here's a compilation of some warm-ups and mobility for your spine and for opening up your posture. So pretty much every day I start off with doing corkscrew twists. So you twist to your left, lift your right heel, twist to your right, lift your left heel. And you can just kind of let your arms be slack, trying to keep your spine tall, tailbone reaching to the ground, and top of head reaching to the sky. And I usually do like 30 twists each side or so, often getting a few cracks, things falling back into place, especially after waking up. Alright, so you can work your way through about 30 of those or so. Come into noticing your breath. And then gently come back to center. And then arms by your sides. And just let your neck fall to one side and let that arm slide down your side. And go back and forth. I usually do these for about 30 or so. Helps shift the fascia over your vertebra and get a little side body glide. So you can do as many of these as you want. I usually do about 30 as well. So you just start with these to warm up all the motions of the spine. Alright, so we did our twist to each side. Here's a little side bend without stressing too much. I like to focus on keeping the legs really solid so that the lower body is anchored as the upper body is fascially gliding. You can notice your breath and come back to center. And then some standing cat-cows. This is just a morning routine. So as you inhale, open your arms to cactus, lift your chest, tuck your tailbone to the earth. Exhale, bring your arms together, forearms make a fist, tuck and round your spine like cat. So inhale, straighten, open to cow. Exhale, squat, pull into cat. Once again, maybe 30 or so, using your breath to pace yourself. And if you're getting like a lot of clicking in the shoulders, you could draw your shoulder blades in for the entire movement. And release, shake that out. And then coming down to your table. Get the hips involved, so inhale, kick your right leg back, bend the knee, roll your hip open, and just circle out your hip. Biggest circles you can make. And try and stay really strong in the arms. So just turning the glutes on, getting the lower side of what's called your thoracolumbar fascia to get some pull through the hip. So that's your low back fascial sheath. And then switch the direction of your circle. So the idea here being, can the other 3 limbs stay really solid and stacked as that 4th gets some circles? And then release. Go ahead and check into the other side. Feel some breath out, maybe into that diaphragm, so you're giving yourself like a massage from the inside out with your breath. Switch directions of the circle. And then release. Take it into a little bit more twisting. So take one of your palms to the center of your mat. So you're in your table, maybe left palm to the center, kind of right underneath your head. Press into that arm really strong, right hand behind your head. And on your inhale, open up. Try to spin just from your belly button to the top of your head open. Exhale, elbow to elbow. Inhale, expand, open. Exhale in. So you can do repetitions here. And this is good for pulling the shoulder blades back in place. So you're trying to pull them together behind your back. And I practice this one more on my left shoulder because it is more internally rotated than my right. So you could do more reps on the side that's more closed off. Trying to keep the chin tucked gently so the back of your neck stays long through the movement. And you can switch sides on that. So trying to keep the hips over the knees. So your twist is coming from your belly button up. Then let that go. Swivel your way around to a seat, and we'll check into a little bit more hip and shoulder things. So take your feet out in front of you about shoulder width distance apart. And you're going to let the knees fall off towards your right side. You can play towards like 90 degrees on the back of each knee. Swing your left arm across. And then inhale, come back to center, bring the knees with you. Exhale, cross over left. Just go a couple of times here, trying to stay tall. So you're pressing down into the sits bones and the heels as you spin back and forth. So good for the rotators of the hip and getting some repetitive movement on the side body as well as your twisting muscles. Let's add the shoulder on. So twisting to, let's go left side. And this time lift your right arm straight up to the sky. Bring it back all the way over to the other side. You can like open the pec for a stretch and then bring the knees with you. Switch over to the right side. Left arm reaches straight up. Pull it back behind you. Get your pec to open first and then knees come with. So exhale comes across. Inhale lifts up and back over. Exhale comes across. And this is just integrating your shoulder and your chest into how the hips twist as well. So you can play with this at your own pace. If you want to make it a bit more meditative, maybe watch your hand as it comes across, up and over. And then coming back to center, take your feet kind of almost as wide as they would go, and then see if you can just isolate the hips perhaps. So shift your weight forward, press down through your heels and your sits bones. Let the knees fall to a side. If you want to make it all hips, you can stay like this or hands behind your head. And just bring your knees back and forth. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. So this is good for opening up the external rotators on the front leg, internal rotators on the back leg. And this could be taken further, like dropping over to a side, shifting your hips up and standing through. Yeah, or just back and forth for that hip opening. Good stuff. So go ahead and let that go. Grab like a block or a foam roller or even a pillow would work. We'll drop onto our back for one here and then come around to our bellies. So block goes between your legs. Then squeeze the block, see if you can get anything in your inner thighs to release. And then lift the legs up to 90 degrees. Arms are open and just bring the block side to side, trying to keep squeezing it between your legs. So just some more rotations from a different perspective. So really good for opening up the sacrum, just getting the different angles of twists. Since we did standing, we did seated, and then doing some on our back. Try to notice your breath and see if you could soften like your neck and jaw. And over time you might notice some different like cracks coming through or some more ease going side to side. And then release, block drops to the side. And do a little self-correct before we swap around to our bellies. So lift your legs up to 90. Right hand on top of thigh, left hand in front of shin. So your legs just kind of hang out, heels to bottom, knees at about that stack. Take a breath, and on your exhale, press your right hand into your thigh, thigh into hand, and then left shin into hand, hand into shin. So you're just resisting the direction of press and pull. like 5 seconds or so, and then let it go. Swap your right hand in front of your shin, left hand to thigh. Take a breath. Exhale, press the two together. Right, so your right hand is getting pressed into, your left hand is getting pulled into. And let that go. You could do that a few times if needed. Sometimes that'll shift the hips back into place. Then just take the block between your legs and give it a squeeze. And then block comes out. Set it aside and bring your way up and around your belly. And just take a few breaths here. You can take your arms into a cactus. So if you're doing core work and a lot of like ab stuff, I invite the idea of doing some low back stuff as well. Right, so adding to your regimen, like either hands can be by your sides and doing a couple cobra lifts. So shoulder blades back and just lifting the chest up as much as you can. Try to use the hands really minimally. So this is a part of a prone flow that I do. So laying on your belly doing exercises. You can either do cobras like that, right? Or take the arms out to cactus, lift your legs up, your arms up and your body. Try and draw your shoulder blades back together. And you can stay there or do repetitions, lifting on the inhale, dropping on the exhale. Soft eyes. Try to keep the back of the neck long. So you can let that go, let your cheek fall to one side, find some breath. Try to really breathe into your belly so that your low back inflates up and softens on your exhale. Get a little more space for this next one. So next exercise, you want to have a lot of space around your sides so you can rotate your arms a bunch. So this one's one of the most important, I think, to get your rotator cuffs to open up and to floss the motion of the shoulder. So you'll find chin or forehead into the mat. Arms come out to a T. It's easier to do this one with bent arms. So you could start there, maybe play with opening up eventually. So the first thing is lifting your arms as high as you can up, and you're trying to keep your arms lifted to the sky the whole way. On the inhale, reach up and over your head. Tap your fingers, maybe pull the hands behind the head. On your exhale, reach your arms back, keeping them lifted as high as you can. Rotate, try and tap thumb and pointer together, or stack the hands over your sacrum. So you're lifting everything up, around a big circle, shoulder blades stay integrated. Inhale brings your hands up and over your head. Exhale, circles back behind.
And I alternate placing one hand on top of the other when they get behind my back. And you really want to try and soften all like the facial muscles, jaw. Sometimes for me it can feel better to like squeeze my glutes and seal the pelvis to the ground. Or you could be more passive down there. So really good for opening up behind your back and over your head mobility. So I usually play with like 30 or so of these. You just start with however many your body is cool with while keeping that kind of feeling of good form. And eventually you can rest. So smoothing the breath out. And then for the posture, one of the things about posture is we're not just opening up the front body, but we're strengthening the back. So anytime you're laying on your belly, you're using the muscles on the back of your body because they squeeze together and that lifts some part of you up against gravity. So that's what keeping lifted through the circle does for those rotator cuff muscles. So that's one thing to focus on, the back bending strength. And then something else is getting the muscles close to your spine. Right? So let's work the opposite fascial planes. So taking your arms forward on your inhale, right, go ahead and lift left arm and right leg, and then release. Right arm, left leg, release. So going back and forth, the two limbs that are on the ground are trying to press down as the other two get the lift. And I rotate the thumb up to the sky on the arm that I'm lifting. That'll help you to get into your upper trap some more. Try to pull the chin in towards your throat a little bit as you're lifting, and you'll be training the back of the skull muscles too, which kind of works against tech neck, or that pushing our chin forward when we're standing. So find the number that fits for you. For me, the magic number has been kind of 30 of everything recently. When you're ready, go ahead and let it go. So next exercise, I only do on one side because I'm trying to correct the scoliosis that's going on in my spine and how one shoulder is coming forward more than the other. So you can do a test to see which one is harder to do, and that's probably the one to do at least more of. But I know that my left shoulder is rotated forward, so I take my left arm behind the back, right, And place the hand right about where your sacrum is. And then you can do this with breath, or you can just do repetitions as you're breathing, right? So breath per rep or breath as. So on your exhale, you want to lift your palm up to the sky, draw your shoulder blade into your back. And then release. Let the elbow drop, right? So palm to sky, shoulder blade to back. And this is going to get the fibers of your lat underneath your armpit and into your shoulder blade and spine. And it's going to help to, over time, pull that shoulder blade back into place. And I'll show kind of seated too. So palm behind your back. Right, lift the palm, rotate the shoulder blade onto the spine. The other arm can just be 90 degrees at your side, and you could feel how your hips are connecting to the earth. Maybe press them both in gently. Then let that go when you're ready. So another muscle to target when you're working with your posture here, and if you're trying to pull your shoulder blade back onto your body, if it's more internally rotated, would be your mid traps. So they line the side of your spine and move out. So the angle to get those at would be a Y. Right, so you can do I's, T's, and Y's to get all the fibers of the traps. Right, I is reaching forward, kind of like we did with the legs. Y is out to a Y. Right, and lifting up. So forehead or chin into the mat. And T's would be lower fibers, reaching out to the side and lifting. So I've been focusing on the Y's for the mid traps. So draw your shoulder blades into your spine, and then thumb rotates to the sky, and you're just lifting up, trying to not use momentum, and see if you can soften the neck muscles, the jaw. You could also do this like kind of on a bench or hanging over with your head against something, holding dumbbells, lifting. And so this will help gather your shoulder blade down and into your spine over time. So doing as many as your body would like, taking a rest when you're done. And then let's come up and back to table when you're ready. And we'll take a stand. And just get some rotations on your shoulders here, elbows up and around. And we'll do one last stretch for your pecs. So we just did all that stuff on your belly. You can do sets of that, and that will help to draw everything back onto your spine. And then the other part of it is to open up your pecs, either through self-release, like lacrosse ball and whatnot, and or you can stretch against a wall is really helpful. So this is the way to do it one-sided. Take your forearm against the wall from your shoulder and just step under your hips. The foot that's against the wall steps forward about halfway. Back foot steps back halfway. You get a little lunge, and then bend into the front knee to lunge in, and you can stretch your pec. Maybe look across the stretch to the center of your room. So this can get certain fibers, or you can take the palm, reach it back like diagonally, and same thing. You're going to step into the stretch, step the back foot out, about shoulder height or a little higher on the palm. Bent elbow is easier, drawing shoulder blade in. Straightening through the arm can make it more intense. And then use the legs to lunge in. So you can keep shoulders over hips. Take some breaths here. And maybe hold for like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, somewhere in there. You'll notice over time that you might start to lose some feeling or get some electricity down to the fingers. And you can come out when that happens if it's getting really intense, or stick with it for a little bit and see what happens. When you're ready to come out of the stretch, press up out of the front leg, release the arms. You can shake the arms out or just circle them some. I like to get some like shoulder joint circles in. So if you took the arms out to a T, on your inhale, rotate the palms to the sky, heart to sky. On the exhale, rotate the heart down and the thumbs down. So inhale rotates open, exhale rotates closed. Another way you could play with that stretch would be doing a doorway stretch instead. Right, so that would be like taking your arms 90 degrees or out against the doorway and then lunging right through the doorway and holding your stretch. And then I'll show you how to get into the rotator cuffs with the wall using it to stretch as well. So take your hand to the wall, straight from your shoulder, fingertips face behind you. And then instead of lunging into the stretch, step right under your hips and just rotate your body, turn towards the center of the room. Right. And the shoulder blade's in, the elbow can be bent at first. Your arm is at shoulder height. And you can look across the room here. Find breath, trying to bring breath into the point that's tight. And maybe I can show this in a little different way, because that angle is not the greatest.
Right, so the palm is against the wall and you're turning away. So that is for stretching your external rotators, right? Since your shoulder is externally rotated when your palm's in. So you can come out, shake that out. And you can do a similar stretch for your internal rotators. Right? So instead of fingertips facing backwards, turn the palm, fingers face forward. On this one, it gets a lot more tight up into your neck, so draw the shoulder blade down. You don't have to rotate it so much in, but draw it down, bend your elbow, and then just turn towards the center of the room some more. And you could start to straighten some. Straight does not necessarily mean better or farther. It just means you're kind of anchoring into the stretch differently, so go by the feeling you have in your body. Same idea, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, somewhere in there. And breath. Coming out when you're ready. And that's kind of a little, just over half an hour mobility flow and some stretching for posture, right? A lot of good hip stuff, some shoulders, and most of the motions of your spine, right? So play with it. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.